Hey, what's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to talk about Gunpla kit bashing. It's something that we've seen a lot in shows like Gundam Build Fighters and Build Divers. We've also seen it in different games like Gundam Breaker, and you guys have maybe tried kit bashing on your own as well. But in today's video, I'm going to want to pose the question to you guys is, if you could create your own ultimate custom Gunpla, what parts would you take from which kits? And because 144 scale HG kits have the widest variety available, that's what I'm going to frame this question in as to what parts we're going to need to take. So the parts that we're going to be considering are the head, the torso, the waist section, the arms, the legs, the backpack, the weapon, and the shield. So I'm going to break down for you guys my list as to what parts I would use to make my own ultimate custom kit bashed Gunpla, and then you guys can let me know in the comments what you would use for yours. But first, today's video is once again going to be sponsored by Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. So a quick word about the boxes here first before we get into it. And so both Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. are monthly subscription boxes that allow you to experience a little taste of Japan from your own home. And I have to tell you guys that I really enjoy both of these, but they are a little bit different. So the Tokyo Treat box tends to focus more on fun and limited edition sweets. You get chips, noodles, snacks that are going to be very difficult to find outside of Japan, including a different flavor of Kit Kat every month, and this time it's cookies and cream Kit Kat. And you also get the cultural guide, which is another one of my favorite parts about these, with the theme this month being Akiba Snack Quest. Inside the cultural booklet, you'll not only find information about all the snacks included in each box, including allergy information, but then you've also got these great little articles that will teach you a bit about Japanese culture, featuring some really nice photography in there as well. And then as for the Sakura Co. box, it's great if you wanted a more artisanal, traditional Japanese snack box featuring a bunch more seasonal sweets, Japanese tea included with every box as well. You get a different flavor of tea and 2 of them included, which is nice. They also work with local snack makers across Japan to bring you some really nice, authentic Japanese snacks in here. So all of that, plus the fact that in every box you get a piece of Japanese tableware. In this case, we've got this really beautiful Okinawa Kozara plate here. Really, really nice. So definitely going to be using that at home. And then of course, once again, we've got the cultural booklet with this one here as well. The theme for this month is flavors of Okinawa. I've been to Okinawa once before and I absolutely loved it. I would love to go back again at some point. That's why in this month's box, we're going to have stuff like Okinawa pineapple jelly, Okinawa mango pie, Okinawa kokuto manju, a lot of really great Okinawan stuff, which would be really fun to try out. And so again, the cultural guide is great because it gives you some really nicely curated articles and photography in there with more information about all the snacks, and then information about the makers that they work with for this month's box. So it's really, really nice. And so if you guys are interested in either the Tokyo Treat or the Sakura Co. boxes, check the link down there in the video description or in the pinned comment, as well as the coupon code there to get $5 off your first box. Really cool boxes, and you don't have to sign up for like a whole year at a time. You can just try out one and test it out. That code will get you $5 off your first box. Check it out. I'm going to check out this Sakura Co. Kokuto Manju. It's a bit of a tongue twister there, but this manju here, as we're getting into it, it's got the Sakura Co. branding there on the front of it, which is pretty cool. It's really nice, soft and sweet. It's really, really good. All right, I'm gonna try out a couple more things throughout the video later on, but let's get into my ultimate custom kit bash Gunpla idea. And I'm not gonna actually be making it at the moment, but it's something to keep in mind. I will just kind of keep a note of this and maybe make it later on in the future. Would be cool to do, but as I mentioned for myself, I limited this to what is currently available, what currently exists in HG or 144 scale among all the different 144 scale kits. And then the other thing that I did keep in mind for me is that I kind of took each section irrespective of other sections. So I didn't kind of necessarily think about, what would go well with others. For the head, I just thought, what is a really cool head design that I like, not considering how well it would necessarily match with the rest. But I feel like if I'm choosing each part separately, just based on kind of the aesthetic that I like, probably ultimately the finished product will all mesh together pretty well, although it could be a little bit more of a mix mash. But considering that you're picking each section kind of based off of your own kind of aesthetic preferences, probably the parts are going to go together well. But I didn't consider that for mine. I tried to intentionally, as much as I could, to think about like, okay, don't think about, how well these arms are going to go with the torso that I already have picked out. Just choose, what is a set of arms that I think I really like and that are really cool and that I would like to use on a kit, something like that. So, okay. Starting off with the head, and then we'll kind of work our way down and around from there. So for the head, there's a lot of things to consider for the head. Of course, do you want something with more like a traditional Gundam face, or do you want something more with like a mono eye? And there's a lot of really cool options. You would think that I might choose something like a Zaku, but in this case, I actually, and this is not scientific at all. If I really took the time to go through every single HG kit, that is available, yeah, I might come to a different conclusion ultimately, but I really do like the head of the Astria from Gundam 00. I really like the kind of the shape, the design of it. It's got like the kind of wider kind of wing parts there that kind of go off to the side more so than like the Exia or the 00 Riser, for example. So like that added shape plus the extra kind of bit of armor sort of like on the cheeks as well just kind of gives it like a really cool, really tough look, I think. And then, you know, not really just so much considering the colors, because ultimately we're going to be taking parts from all different stuff. And so, you know, the color of the original is not necessarily something that's too important for our purposes in this, but it does look really cool being like all in white as well. I think it's a really cool looking head design. So that's what I've got for the head. Moving on then to the torso, just going down from there. Again, there's kind of a lot of variety in the torso in terms of like you want something that's kind of more narrow or that's wider, something that's got like weapons built in, something like the heavy arms has like the Gatling guns in the chest. You have a lot of other different designs that have something like beam cannons in like the chest or the abdomen region. So you want like weapons built into there. And then do you want something more slim, something like the Barbatos with like the very narrow like abdomen section, or do you want something more bulky? And ultimately for this one, I went with another non-UC option, even though you guys know that I'm definitely partial to a lot of UC stuff generally. For this one, I'm actually going to go with an option that you might not have guessed, but with the Gray's Kai. I do really like the design of the Gray's torso. It's really cool how it's kind of got that sort of like the Barbatos, and like I said, it's got a very simple like a midsection there. But then it's got some really cool shapes going on. I like the fact that it's got like those kind of like cable parts on like the bottom side of like the chest torso part, and just it's a bit smaller, and I think makes for a really nice kind of base then to kind of build around from there. So I've got the Gray's Kai, and compared to the original Gray's torso, it's not that much different. The Gray's Kai has a little bit more larger part there at the center, I think. I do kind of like that, a little bit of extra added bulk on the front of the torso there that we'll get from the Gray's Kai. And again, not really considering so much necessarily how the parts are going together, but I think, you know, the head of the Astrea would look pretty cool there on the top of the Gray's Kai. All right, so then moving on down further to the waist section here. This is probably the section that I had the hardest time thinking about what I would want to choose here, just because, again, there's a lot of variety available. There's a lot of waist sections that are very minimal with like little to no skirt armor, or you have ones that are much more bulky. You have stuff like the O's skirt armor if you want to get like really, really bulky, or stuff even like the Hazel is another one that I thought of. The advanced Hazel that has the subarm unit in the front of the waist section is really, really cool as well. And then do you want something more like you see with a lot of like Gundam designs where it's got like the panel, basically like simple like angular panels on the front, the sides, and the back, like the Gundam style, or do you want something more like a Xeon kind of style, stuff that's more like round or kind of like longer shape, something like you would see like on the Bau, something like that. So there's really kind of a lot of variety, but I think the thing is that like it's not really a section of any particular build that I necessarily really get all that excited about, maybe just like design wise. So it was really difficult to kind of narrow this one down. But for me, I think what I'm ultimately going to go with here, I think is probably going to be the Yakudoga. I really like it because it's a good kind of fairly simple mix of just like the front and the back just being fairly simple, just like panel designs. With not like a ton of like vents or details or anything on there necessarily, but then you have those a little bit bulkier kind of like side sections too, where you've got the thrusters there in the side skirt, and then you also have the hosing part that go around the top of the skirt section too, which is another aspect that I like about that. Again, this was a really difficult one, but you know, just kind of ultimately I ended up going with the Yakudoga just because I do really like the design of that. It's also, you'll notice, again, quite bulky just compared to like the torso that we just had before. But again, not really so much considering exactly how they're going to go together. Okay, from the Tokyo Treat Box, I've got to try this 100 million yen fish jerky here. Fish jerky is something that maybe a lot of you guys have not ever had before. It's actually really, really good, and it makes a really good snack to have if you're having a beer or something as well, which I don't have here, unfortunately, but here you go. Just it's gonna look like that. You can kind of tear it up into pieces or just kind of take a whole bite out of the whole thing. With a lot of fish jerky and stuff like this, it does have like a little bit of a spicy kick to it. I wouldn't say at all that it's spicy necessarily. So like if you don't like spicy food, you won't like it, but it does have a little bit of a kick to it, which I think adds just like a little bit of flavor. Otherwise, it would be particularly plain without that, I think. All right, and then moving on to the arms next. Now, this is where it really gets interesting because I feel like the head The torso and the waist section are like fairly minimal in terms of like what's going on with those. The arms is where you kind of really get a lot of wide variety in terms, because you've also got like the shoulder armor, right? So some kits have like very large shoulder armor, some have very minimal shoulder armor, some have like stuff attached onto the shoulder armor or onto the arms. And again, we're not including like weapons or shields or anything at this point, but anything that's just like attached onto the shoulders. There's a lot of different variety. You could have, you know, something as wild as like the Haigog with its long arms and big shoulder armor, or like the Kublai, as well as another very interesting option. There are a lot of options that have built-in weaponry like the Gaplan's arm cannons or the Hiraru version of that, as well as the additional equipment on the shoulders. And one thing that I should mention to you guys too, because I almost wanted to choose the Yakudoga arms as well. I do really like the Yakudoga arms, but for myself, for this challenge purposes, I wanted to not choose two sections from the same kit, so every section has to come from a different kit, is another kind of stipulation I should have mentioned earlier on in the video. But all things considered, and there is a ton of great options available, I thought I would throw you guys something completely out of left field and go with the Gastima from Reconquista NG. A lot of you guys probably forgot that this even existed. It was actually probably my favorite kit from this line, a line that overall was not great, but there are a couple of kind of gems in there. The Gastima is one that I think that I really enjoyed from this line. Still, you know, it still needs a lot of work to like really bring out the best in it, but really cool design kind of overall, and the arms in particular are really cool. You have these big kind of like shoulder barrels more so, but one on the one side it pops out and you get this big energy shield, and then on the other side you have, I think it's a sensor unit, I believe is what pops out on the other side of there. But kind of cool gimmick, but a really interesting unique shape there for these big kind of massive shoulder armor parts. And then the arms themselves are actually like very slim and simple in their design, so it's kind of very interesting mix of stuff going on there with the arms for that one. And yeah, again, I just kind of wanted to throw that in there because it's the design that I like, and I really hope it gets reprinted at some time. A lot of those Reconquista and G kits sure could use a reprint. Now going down to the legs then, I want you guys to pause the video if you think that you know what I'm gonna say here for the legs, and put it in the comments, put your guess there, just because if you've heard me talking about this kind of stuff before, you've probably heard me mention about what are some of my favorite legs in all of Gunpla. And it's something that it's kind of one of my favorite designs in general. But okay, everyone, you have your guesses down there in the comments. Okay, ready for the reveal? Yes, for the legs, I'm gonna have to go with the Rosen-Zulu. Of course, you guys know I'm a big fan of those high heels, the long legs there that the Rosen-Zulu has. Just beautiful leg design. I really love the shapes, the design, everything going on with the design there of the Rosen-Zulu legs. So absolutely perfect. Then moving on to the backpack, then the backpack is another one where you just have such a wide variety of things available to you, from like the new Gundam's backpack with the fin funnels and everything, or you've got some other great options like the Shinanju's backpack. I absolutely love. It's a really cool design there. A lot of backpacks feature different different aspects. Some are going to be very minimal, something like a Gym or like a ARC-72 backpack, even something like that are going to be super simple. And the other ones are much larger, have huge weapons. You got like the Gundam X backpack with the whole like satellite cannon and everything. So, and then like even like wings, like the Wing Gundam Zero EW. So a lot of different options there. I kind of really like the Dolphin Wolf / Silver Bullet as a backpack here, just because you've got some really nice bulk there with some huge thruster bells there on the backside. You've also got the cannons that are up there over the shoulder. You've also got the incoms on there. So you've got a lot of variety built in just for like weapons there on the backpack, and then just a nice size and shape as well. It's big, but it doesn't like overshadow the mobile suit. I don't think. It's still kind of like concentrated there on the back, but it's got like a nice size to it, and then like a lot of really good utility and just kind of nice shapes and everything designed into there as well. So that's gonna be my pick. You know, again, whether you go with the Dolphin Wolf version or the Silver Bullet version, there's different versions of that you could choose from. It's the same backpack. All right, I'm gonna try this here, Beni Imo Pie from the Sakurako box. There's a lot of really great looking sweets in the Sakurako box in particular this time that I'm really looking forward to trying. But this one just looks so nice here. Really nice flaky pastry for the crust there. Then you've got that purple sweet potato filling inside. I'm a big sweet potato fan, so really enjoy it. All right, so that brings us down then to the real meat and potatoes of it, the shield and the weapon. I am gonna go with, for the shield, again, a lot of different options here if you wanted something a bit more minimal. And not all the mobile suits have shields, to be fair. So this is just kind of like for my sake, I'm including a shield as one of the options here. A lot of mobile suits also have like shields that are built into the arms and different things. So again, this is something you could just opt maybe no shield, I suppose, if you wanted. But there's a lot of really cool shield options if you wanted something larger or smaller, you know, with weapons built in or not. I do really like the shield of kind of all of the Delta series, the Delta Plus, the Delta Kai, especially with that huge shield that it has. It's sort of like too ridiculously large, but it's really, really cool looking, the Delta Kai. But for this one, I'm actually going to go with, of course, the Goof Custom and its Gatling gun shield. There's just nothing cooler than that Gatling gun attached to the shield of the Goof Custom. It's such a cool weapon slash shield at the same time. You've also got the sword that's tucked into there as well. So it's just really, really cool. That's the kind of weapon that can just look good on kind of anything. So just attach that onto whatever kit and it's going to look awesome. So that is definitely what I would choose for that one. And then that brings us to the final slot here for the main weapon. So again, this is something that, you know, some kits, for example, like again, if you choose like the Gunpla parts for the arms, you've already got kind of arm cannons built in, but just for like a main handheld weapon. Could be like a long range weapon, could be a short range melee weapon. There's a lot of great melee weapons available from like the HG Iron Blood Orphan series in particular, of course. But for this one, again, this is something that I've talked about before when asked, so some of you might have heard me mention this in the past, but my favorite weapon has got to be the beam rifle of the Sinanju. I love the design of the Sinanju's beam rifle, especially with the bazooka attached onto the bottom is really, really cool. But either way, in a bazooka or not, it's just such a really sleek, simple, beautiful design there for the design of the Sinanju, with a lot of really great options available out there as far as like weapons go. I mean, you've got all sorts of awesome handheld weapons ranging from big to small. You know, aside from the Sinanju, I do really like the Unicorn's Beam Magnum as well. It's another really cool one. The V2, the Victory / V2's beam rifle. I like the V2's version because it's a bit bulkier, has the added stuff on it. That's another really cool one. Just a ton of really great options. Again, even like the Dovin Wolf / Silver Bullet that I mentioned before. Obviously with Gundams and mobile suits generally being weapons of war, the actual weapon part that they hold is a pretty key feature. And so we've got a lot of really great variety across the span of, you know, all sorts of different kits that Bandai has made so far. But there's my picks for all of the different parts that I would use to create my own, you know, ultimate custom Kitbash Gunpla, you know, irrespective of how well they actually mash together. But what do you guys think? How do you think that would turn out, you know, if this was actually visualized into an actual kit? It's something that I would love to actually do. I would have to actually get the parts from those different kits. And that would actually take a little bit of doing, but it would be really interesting to actually put this together. So I'll think about that for a future installment. And again, let me know in the comments section what you guys would use for your ultimate Kitbash as we wrap it up here for today. Again, a huge shout out to Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. Thank you for sponsoring this video. I'm going to try out the Kit Kat cookies and cream here. There's not really much mystery to it because you kind of know it's going to be good, unless for whatever reason you don't like cookies and cream. You might not like it, but I think, you know, of course, it's absolutely delicious. So check the link in the video description to Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. Also, if you guys want to check out some more Gunpla for making your own kit bashes, you know, you can check out Gunpla, paints, tools, supplies, and all that here at USA Gundam Store. Check the link in the video description for USA Gundam Store as well. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.